2, 1. Ruining baseball's never felt so good. Welcome to the Dugout. I'm your host, Joseph Silva. And on today's episode, I'm going to tell you why, despite what I just said in the intro, the Dodgers are actually not ruining baseball. We're the ones saving it. But before we get started, if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the Run the Play Network. Anthony's Thunder are NBA champions. Phil's Lakers got Luka Doncic. Jack's Cowboys got Quentin Williams. And my Dodgers are back World Series champions, baby. And it only happens because we're members of Run the Play. If you subscribe, the same success is coming to your team. Or you can always skip it, but after what happened on Saturday, I would not take that chance. And yeah, just starting with, let's just talk about that World Series. Absolute all-timer. Toronto gave us a hell of a series, man. It looked like it was gonna be over for us. Especially ninth inning, Miguel Rojas coming up and hitting, I'll just say it, the biggest home run in Dodger history. Given the circumstances and everything, he saved the season, and then he saved it again in the bottom of the ninth. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto, I think he got underpaid, quite frankly. $325 million is too little for him. Everyone contributed in a great way to this one. Game 7 is an all-timer. Game 3 was an all-timer. And it really, despite how bad the Dodgers played for a majority of the series, did not matter. Everyone showed up and played in Game 7. And it paid out for baseball, too, because 25 million people were watching the game on average on Fox. Peaked at 31 million, the highest in 8 years. Yeah, baseball is back, baby. And it's all because of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And just getting into it, I see a lot of the sentiment. We're ruining baseball. We're ruining baseball. We have too much money, the deferrals and all that, right? And, I mean, look at me. I'm not the most unbiased source when it comes to this stuff, but I think we need to chill out a little bit here. And I'm just going to go over like point by point, the payroll and the deferred payments, the salary cap and the salary floor discussion, and why we're actually saving baseball. And just starting it off right in the back, yes, we all know the eye-catching $2 million salary that Shohei Ohtani gets paid every year. They have deferred 98%, 5% of that contract. He's getting $68 million after he's done playing for the team in deferrals, and I get that. And it looks bad on the surface, but it's not really saving the Dodgers that much money, let's be honest here. And yes, I know Mark Walter and Guggenheim have basically unlimited resources. They are private equity after all. But let's not say that the $2 million is only what Shohei Ohtani is getting paid. Because through a complex system that I'm too stupid to explain, quite frankly, is the contract for the purposes of the luxury tax has a value of $46 million per year. Essentially, yes, Ohtani only gets paid $2 million a year, but if you look at the $46 million that counts towards the luxury tax threshold, they're really not saving that much money here. Yeah, yes, $24 million is a lot, and yes, they're not getting taxed on his $2 million, but this still counts to what is a very large tax bill. And yes, I understand that I was paying $168 million in taxes. Most teams can't afford that. If you look at that number by itself, it is a top half payroll in MLB. But they still have to pay it. They don't like paying that number, but they do it because it brings success to the team. They have made so much money. Reportedly, and again, I don't believe this, but it's been reported that they have made the $700 million back on Shohei Ohtani's contract in the first season alone. They hit 4 million fans for the first time ever in Dodger Stadium history. The excitement around this team in the city of Los Angeles is palpable. And they get so much more money back because they put the money into the team. So yeah, they can pay for this. And yes, they have a very large and very passionate fan base. They have an incredible TV contract. But here's the thing about that contract, though. They have to give half of that money to the league, essentially, in the shared pool where everybody gets an equal slice of the pie. 48% of that after the 2022 renegotiation of the CBT, 48% of that huge, ungodly $7 billion TV deal they have goes and is divided up to other teams in the league now. So guess what? The Pirates, they get 3.3% of that. You know, every little team gets their cut. So yeah, the Dodgers do benefit from it, but how large that number is also goes to a lot of the small market teams that don't want to spend money here. Which leads me to the big elephant in the room. The Dodgers and the Mets are basically the only teams that really want to spend money nowadays. And it's really sad to see. Because the big thing that's been going around social media and the infamous clip of the, Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell talking about, if you can't beat them, join them, in reference to when they were on Tampa Bay in 2020 and came up just short of beating the Dodgers, losing that series in 6 games. And yes, if you were to look at it, combined, these two pitchers make $60 million in salary last year. But where would that, if Tampa Bay paid them $60 million to keep them on the team, they still would not have a top half payroll. That's how ridiculously cheap Tampa Bay's ownership is. And I know they have a new ownership group. Let's see if they start spending money here. But really, not to pay $60 million for a pitcher who won you a Cy Young, won a Cy Young after you traded him, and pitched like an absolute dog in this postseason, yeah, I think you really could have afforded to pay him. Tyler Glasnow, yes, the injuries were bad, but when he's been on the field with the Dodgers, he's looked incredible. And the Rays, and a sub-500 for the season for the first time in seemingly forever this year. And yes, you have to understand, you got to take Ryan Pepiot away from it. Johnny DeLuca really did contribute in a lot of the places in the Blake Snell trade. Just were not great major league players for Tampa Bay. So if you take all that aside, I think they would have been a competitive team if they had both Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow. But, because ownership is so cheap and they didn't want to pay them what they're worth, they shipped them away and bounced around the league for a little bit until the Dodgers ultimately said, fine, we will pay you guys what you're worth. That's not necessarily the Dodgers' fault. That's Tampa Bay's fault for being so cheap that you let proven major league talent walk out the door. And speaking of which, the Tigers are on this trend too, as they are way off in Tarik Skubal negotiations right now. Do I believe Tarik Skubal is going to be a $500 million pitcher? No. He might get $400 million, especially with the fact that, Scott Boras is his agent. And to offer the man who came off one of the most dominant pitching seasons of the 2020s and really is the model of what a pitcher looks like in the modern game, less than $100 million over 4 years after winning his first Cy Young? What is wrong with you guys? He is worth so much more money than that. And for the contract negotiations to not be going well on an extension. Skubal is probably reaching free agency. And for there to be talk of Tarik Skubal might get traded to, surprise, surprise, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets. All the big market teams are in on Skubal if he were to be traded. Is that their fault, or is that the fault of the team who just doesn't want to pay him? I think that's the fault of the team that does not want to pay him here. The Tigers have a bottom half payroll. Even if they were to give Skubal $45 million a year, they would still not have a top 10 payroll here, let's be honest. And this same man, who aside from one bad pitch to Lane Thomas, has been excellent for the Tigers, both in the regular season and the postseason. For God's sake, the man nearly single-handedly pitched them into the ALCS last year. He was incredible for Seattle, or for the Tigers against Seattle. And you don't want to pay him? How's that the Dodgers' fault? If we give Skubal $500 million when he's a free agent next year, it's not our fault that no one else wanted to pay the man clearly what he is worth. The Reds are shopping Hunter Green this offseason. The Twins blew up a playoff core. All these things are because ownership is too cheap. They want to get all that competitive balance tax money, all the money that gets sloshed around. They just want to keep it for themselves. There was reason why the Pirates had a Paul Skeens trade talk this year. There were rumors about it and speculation. Because they're too cheap to buy an offense around him. They're too cheap to extend him right now. So why not just trade him at the peak of his value? Is that a Dodgers problem? Or is that a Tampa Bay problem? Or a Pittsburgh problem? I think that's a Pittsburgh problem here. Let's be honest here. So yes, a salary cap would go a long way in fixing things, quote unquote, but I don't think it would be as effective a tool as you want. Especially with how strong the MLBPA is, there is absolutely no way the players are agreeing to this. They are going to fight tooth and nail, and I think it's just a bad decision. A salary floor makes way, way more sense. And it's just so much more healthy for the league too. You know, the NBA has a salary floor. And I would argue that because they have a salary floor, the Detroit Pistons broke their streak of futility and made the playoffs because they had to sign players who helped them out. You're telling me if the Pirates were not forced to spend money, that they wouldn't get some good hitters to supplement Paul Skeens and what looks to be an incredible rotation with the players they have coming up? You're telling me if Tampa Bay, with how smart their front offense is, was actually forced to spend money, and I'm not saying they have to keep both Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow, but they'd probably keep one of them. They would probably, sign great hitters. It's just very frustrating to see that a bunch of owners are so cheap that they don't want to spend money for the team that actually does and invests in themselves to be blamed for ruining the sport. I think is so hypocritical. I get it. I am very biased. But Shohei Ohtani offered the same contract he did to the Angels. Angels said no because Artie Moreno doesn't want to go above the luxury tax. Anyone could have signed Blake Snell, both when he signed that 1 year deal or that contract with the opt-out for the Giants and again with the Dodgers. The Red Sox were too cheap to play Mookie Betts despite the fact that, he's a homegrown star. The city loves him and they had a very large fan base here. A big market team gave up on Mookie Betts. The Braves did not want to offer Freddie Freeman another year, so they didn't sign him. They traded Matt Olson. A lot of the superstars the Dodgers get is because teams are cheap. It's not a Dodgers problem. It's a rest of the league problem here. Which brings me to why they're actually saving baseball. Is sometimes you need a villain in the sport. The Yankees were the villain in the 90s and MLB ratings were up. As much as we hate the LeBron versus Steph finals for 4 years in a row, basketball ratings were up. Everyone watched the Patriots and now they hate watch the Chiefs. It's so much better when you have a villain, and the Dodgers are the perfect villain, if you want to put it that way. Not to mention, Shohei Ohtani is an incredible force that no matter who you are, when he does something incredible, like, the 3 home run, 10 strikeout game, you're going to hear about it. They have so many players on this team that are recognizable household names, and for them to consistently make deep runs in the postseason, yeah, I think this Dodgers team is exactly what America, laser focuses on. Most Americans probably couldn't tell you who won the Cy Young in 2021, let's say, in the American League. They couldn't tell you Robbie Ray was that Cy Young winner. But they can tell you Shohei Ohtani won the MVP. They can tell you a lot of these things because he's so recognizable. He's so marketable. And for him to be on the biggest team that spends money, not only at a high clip, but so efficiently and so well, they bring a much-needed villain to the sport. They bring someone who you can attach on to and just either root for or against. But you're always watching no matter what. And that's why the Dodgers are saving baseball. They're not ruining it. And you know who's ruining it? Bob Nutting's ruining it. Artie Moreno's ruining it. The owners of the Reds are ruining baseball. Stu Sternberg was ruining baseball. So yeah, get mad at us all you want, but save that same energy for when your favorite team trades away Tarek Skubal or a player of his caliber because they refuse to pay him. That's what's actually ruining baseball. But let me know in the comments down below, how wrong am I? Where does this World Series rank in the all-timers for you? And more importantly, are the Dodgers three-peating this year? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you enjoyed the content, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe to the Run the Play Network, and don't forget on the way out, play ball.